Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. How are you doing today? I hope you are doing very, very well. I'm having a pretty great week, if I do say so myself. And I am coming to you with a video that I have not done in quite a while. I'm super excited about it. The 5 backlist books that you may have missed. Now, one of them I've talked before a little bit about in talking about the author's second book, and then one of them is a pretty famous classic, but I'm not sure if you've read it. So I'm going to throw it out there and hope that it winds up on some of your lists if you haven't read it, or, you know, if you have read it, maybe you read it again. How's that sound? So let's get started. Let's start with that classic that everyone's probably heard of, and that is The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Sparks. How cute is this cover? Adorable. Muriel Sparks is one of those authors I've been talking about that I want to read more, and this is all I've read by her. And then I was having a conversation with someone and they had never read anything by Muriel Sparks. So I thought, well, if one person, maybe 2 people. This is the story of Ms. Jean Brodie. She is a teacher at an all-girls school in Scotland. And how do you explain this book? Because it is very thin, but it packs quite a wallop. This is about her and a group of students who are sort of her favorite students that she's trying to elevate to the next level. And she trusts them with a lot of information, and she really believes in them. And basically, one of them betrays her, and it's sort of the repercussions of that betrayal. It is just pitch perfect. Every word is perfect, every character well drawn. You guys will really like this if you haven't read it. And then what you do is you read this, and then you watch the movie with the fabulous Maggie Smith, who I believe won an Oscar for this film, and you turn it into a whole event. See, there's me giving you a whole event with The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie by Muriel Sparks. The next book is from Europa. Now, if you guys don't know this about me, I talk a lot about unnamed press, and rightly so. But Europa is my other absolutely favorite independent little publisher. I say little, they're not little. They have the Ferrante books. So, but I feel like a lot of their stuff is just such quality that doesn't sit in the mainstream, and it's so good, and I just adored them. And that goes with this book, I Regret Everything, a love story by Seth Greenland. And I will say that the book is as funny as the title. And as heartbreaking as you don't expect it to be. This is the story of a young man, let me think of his name, Jeremy. At the start of the book, you learn that he is an attorney, but also he is a poet who publishes poetry under a pseudonym. And at the very start of the book, he gets diagnosed with a terminal disease. He also meets a young woman who is 19 years old and the daughter of his boss. This is the story of their relationship. She also struggles with her own internal demons. This is very poetic about mental health and strong people that can be brought down by mental health. It's also about strong people who can be brought down by their bodies. And it's how these 2 people and their relationship get them through some very, very tough times. It is rip-roaring funny, it is heartwarming, and it is touching, and I adored this book. And that's I Regret Everything, a love story by Seth Greenland from Europa Editions. The next author I feel like shouldn't need any introduction, but I don't think a lot of people have read him. His novel, this is Junot Diaz, by the way, and I'm going to be talking about Drown, which is his first collection of short stories. However, his novel, The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde, won the Pulitzer and is hands down in my top 10 favorite books I've ever read. But this is the collection that introduced Junot Diaz to the world. Junot Diaz is a Dominican writer who lives in New York. I think he teaches does he teach at MIT? When I saw him in person, he taught at MIT in the creative writing program. I'm not sure where he is now. But this collection introduces you to his style. He's got a very gritty style. He flips between the Dominican Republic and he also comes to New Jersey, and he catches both of those very different places poetically and brilliantly. He introduces you to some characters in this book that you will see throughout all of his works. And he just has a way of creating a world in a few pages. And I think there are only 10 stories in this book. And just blowing your mind. If you're looking for this to be your year where you read short stories, I'm telling you right now, Drown by Junot Diaz is absolutely a great place to start. Okay. And then when you're done with that, please read A Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde because it's flippin' fantastic. The next book I'm going to tell you about is completely different than everything else that I've told you about, but I think this will hit a lot of your sweet spots. And Mammy, if you're watching this, I think if you haven't read this book, you need to get this book. And that is The Wives of Los Alamos by Tarashea Nesbit. And Tarashea, I'm sorry about that first name. And what's even more horrible is I have met her and this is signed and I just butchered that. So I'm so sorry about that. This book takes place in New Mexico, and this is based on the true story of the wives of the men who were in New Mexico developing the atomic bomb. This is the story of what goes on in the real world while something like that is going on. These women move to this military base. They don't know each other. They have to get accustomed to living in a military world, and they're all strangers meeting each other. And their lives come together and who they are in the world that they create, while this other thing that is always in the back of your head, because you guys know history, is going on. And it's very secret because the wives don't have the security clearance. So do they really know what their husbands are doing? You guys, it's good. It's really good, and you should read it. And if you haven't read it, I would say that you should take the time to really enjoy the atmosphere, the history, and the camaraderie of the women in this novel. And that is The Wives of Los Alamos by Tarashea Nesbit. Last but not least is the book I told you I've talked about a lot, but I just noticed the other day that I was thinking about this book and some of the stuff that it taught me. So I was like, I should talk about it in this video. And that is The End of Your Life Book Club by Will Schwalbe. Now, Will Schwalbe is just the most adorable, sweetest man. And this is the story. It's nonfiction of a book club that he does with his mom as she is dying of pancreatic cancer. He goes to treatments with her and they talk about novels, and that experience is the last few years of her life that he has with her. And this book doesn't dwell on the fact that she is passing. This book dwells on the importance that she had in his life, the love that they had for each other. She's a stubborn woman, but he does such an amazing job of painting a well-rounded portrait of his mom and the heartbreak that goes into knowing you're eventually going to have to say goodbye to someone. In this book, you will also get a phenomenal reading list. Him and his mom read amazing books and they talk about them, and it's almost like you're sitting there in a book club getting personal recommendations about novels, and you can write them all down, or I think they're all listed if I'm not mistaken. And you can just start reading them yourselves, and it's that good, you guys. So I talked a lot about the year of living. I can't remember the name of his second book. It's totally blinking in my head. But I talked a lot about that book when it came out because I went to Booktopia and saw him. But really, this to me is his masterpiece. And that's The End of Your Life Book Club by Will Schwalbe. So there you go, guys. Welcome back to 5 backlist books that you may have missed. As always, if you are new to my channel, welcome. Thank you. Subscribe. If you are a return subscriber, thank you so much. You know how much I enjoy you. Comments below. Have you read any of these books? Have any of them sparked your interest? Hopefully all of them make them on your TBR if you haven't read them. Until next time, I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.